Hey there, Michael from Break a Pencil here. Let me ask you a question. How many times were you interrupted yesterday during your workday? For most product managers I work with, and even when I was doing this work, it's like 30, 40, maybe even 50 times a day. Now, most of these interruptions, be it an email, a Slack chat, a text message, or even a phone call, most of these are only 1 or 2 minutes to answer, but research shows that it takes knowledge workers anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes to get back into the flow of the work they were doing prior to the interruption. So 15 to 20 minutes times all of these interruptions, and this stuff really adds up. This whole idea of context switching is really taxing. So way back in 2007, I did something radical to solve this. Let me set the stage. It's 2007. This is before the first iPhone was even launched, before anybody was doing anything like remote work. And my team, they were drowning in interruptions, not because of lack of skill or not because they were behind, but simply because they were getting all these questions, and they were legitimate and quick questions, but they didn't have any uninterrupted time to do any real focused strategic think work. So I introduced something I called Product Management Day. I told my team, I said, every Wednesday from now on, I don't want you to come into the office. I want you to work from home or a coffee shop. This was radical back then. Heresy. People were, I'll get to that in a minute. And I told them, I want you to set your email to an out of office message that says, today is Product Management Day. I'm doing focused work. I will be checking email from 11:30 to 12 and from 4:30 to 5. I'll get back to you then. Batched the interruptions, scheduled the responses. This was really controversial. I got called into our CEO's office, not once, but twice. He was complaining. Stakeholders can't reach the product managers. Sales says they're losing deals. Engineering is complaining that they're slowing down because your product managers aren't available to them. So I asked, I said, has our velocity dropped? Have we lost any deals? Or are we just uncomfortable that product managers once a week aren't visible? So we let it run for a little bit and we tracked it. And we tracked it for a quarter. And lo and behold, product quality went up. Our product managers, they got smarter, deeper insights, better decisions, better context and understanding of the market and the competition. And they were happier because they were getting to do the meaningful work that product managers want to do, not all this sort of noisy, quick answers. And so here's what we learned, that most of these urgent interruptions, they weren't urgent. They were just convenient, easy. It's easier to ping the product manager than to go and check the roadmap. It's easier to ask the product manager than it is to go and find the answer you're looking for. It's easier to do that. It's the path of least resistance. And so we shouldn't be surprised when most people take that path. Product Management Day worked. It was a very successful experiment that I did, but it was expensive, right? I mean, 1 out of 5 days, 20% of the time, product managers were just not available. And so it wasn't scalable. If engineering needed something at 2 o'clock on that Wednesday, maybe couldn't wait until 4:30. And so that was the crude pre-AI solution. Today, though, we can do better. Today, I'm going to show you how, with AI, we can solve this problem without requiring a completely protected day. What Product Management Day protected, it wasn't calendar time, even though that's what it looked like. It protected the cognitive capacity and focus for strategic work. I could never get into flow if every 20 minutes somebody needed me. And so what AI makes possible, that wasn't possible back in 2007, is we can make your knowledge, as a product manager, your knowledge accessible without your real-time participation. Engineering gets their prioritization context without interrupting you. Sales gets their roadmap update without sending you a Slack message. Executives get their status without having to schedule a meeting. You, as the product manager, you're still deciding, you're still strategizing, but you're no longer the bottleneck or the access point for information access. Let me show you how to build this. So let's look first briefly, and then I'm going to jump into the demo, at what interruptions might look like. This is a rough guess, but this is what I've typically seen. Roadmap and priority questions, about 30% of the interruptions. Status checks, maybe about a quarter of them. Past decisions, why did we make that decision? 20%. Process, how do we do this? How do we do that? 15%. Everything else, the real important stuff, the stuff that requires not just information, but knowledge, 10%. Okay? So if you think about the math here, right? If 90% of the stuff that you're getting interrupted with, you don't need to be getting interrupted with. Think of the amount of time you can save and what actually could you do with that time? Because today you're handling all of these 100% personally. So let's build a system that handles the 90%. Let's jump into our demo. So step one, I'm going to give my project in Claude. I've created a project in Claude. I called it product management knowledge bot demo. Okay. I've done a few things ahead of time. The first is I've given it some instructions. What did I give? And these prompts and information is all available in links below in the description. And I give it custom instructions about its role, how to handle information retrieval, how to respond. I give it some examples, good examples and bad examples, tone and style. Okay, pretty comprehensive. I also gave it 5 documents in its project knowledge. The latest roadmap, the latest product process guide, the latest archive of our decisions that have been made, the latest enterprise billing dashboard, and the PRD for the enterprise billing dashboard, and the latest product strategy document. Right? These are all documents that you have. Right? These are all artifacts that exist probably, and you have them somewhere in your, file system somewhere. So add those to the product knowledge. So give it context. I'm building this, right, so that I can have 90% of the questions go to the bot instead of to me. Step 2, give it the instructions. And I already walked you through what these custom instructions are. So step 3 is let's actually put this thing to work. So instead of sales calling you, let's say they ask, why didn't we build the analytics export feature? Let's see what the bot has to say. According to the Product Decisions Archive, we decided against that in October 2024. Here are the key reasons: low customer demand, significant engineering, strategic misalignment, decision status. Answered, done, move on. Let's try another question. When does the enterprise billing dashboard ship? Right? This is the new feature. We had the PRD in there. I need to know when it's going to ship. May 15th, 2025. It's in development, sprint 3 of 6. Why does it matter? Here's the timeline. Here's the owner, and here's the engineering lead. It's a P0, all right? So a common status check. I don't need to get interrupted for it. Let's try one more, and then we'll move on. Customer wants single sign-on before renewal. Can we add it to the current sprint? So current sprint status, the trade-off, decision needed from PM. What's the ARR of this renewal? Recommendation. Oh, look at this. I've sent an email to Sarah Chen, the VP of Product, with this question, along with full context. She typically checks emails at 11:30 and 4:30, and at the end of the day, she'll evaluate whether it justifies changing our Q2 priorities or if there's an alternative solution. So in the instructions I gave to my bot, I said that if you are unable to answer the question sufficiently, escalate it to the product person by sending an email with not just the question, but all the context, right? And so then letting that product person deal with it directly. That's one of the 10%, not the 90%. So each question just takes a minute or 2 to answer, but multiply that by 30, 40, 50 times a day. This just handled 3 of them and never broke my flow, never interrupted me. And when I go and check email, I'll get this 3rd one to look at and deal with then. So this is a kind of basic approach. And in this spirit or the interest of time, I didn't want to add too much to it, but some enhancements that I would definitely add. A weekly summary. Give me a summary at the end of the week of how many questions it answered, what type of questions they were, and then estimate how much time that saved me, right? I answered 50 questions over the course of the week at, 5, 10, 15 minutes a piece. I saved you 5 hours. Okay. Email escalation. I showed that in there, right? If it doesn't get quite answered, escalate it by an email. Integrate with calendar. So if somebody wants to schedule with me, they can just query the bot and figure that out. Let me talk to you about a note here about team deployment. So the way I showed it was just in a single instance of Claude querying the project. How do you make this accessible to your team? How do you bring this to your office, your company? If you have Claude for Work, the enterprise plan, you can create a shared project. Add teammates as collaborators. Everyone queries the same bot. Easy. If you don't, the right solution for this is a fairly straightforward, but a little technical, is turning on an MCP server, Model Context Protocol. You set up a server with the product docs, the team connects to it through Claude Desktop, everyone queries the same knowledge base. I have instructions on how to do that linked in the description below if you're interested. The concept is solid. Implementation might depend on your company's setup and any technical resources you have or don't. So this is where individual AI tools intersect with organizational adoption challenges, right? This is what we try to solve with systematic AI adoption. This isn't just, hey, check out this cool prompt I can do. This is, how can I use AI to strategically and fundamentally change the way I work? So remember Product Management Day. I got called back into the CEO's office, right? And so one other thing I did, which you also need to do here, is If I didn't spend 2 hours answering all these questions, what did I do? And the work I should be doing is strategic work, reviewing customer feedback, doing deep competitive analysis, looking at longitudinal trends, trying to prioritize more effectively. This work doesn't look productive because it doesn't immediately generate artifacts. So you need to be able to capture not detailed, but what work did you do? So I asked my product managers way back in 2007 just to send me a 1 or 2 sentence note, right? What did you actually work on? So that when the CEO called me in, I could say, look, here's the strategic work that the product managers are doing on Wednesdays when you're not seeing them in the office. They spent 4 hours analyzing support tickets, or they found 3 pain points that the roadmap doesn't address. You have the same challenges approaching it, not with product management day, but with this AI bot. And so at the end of the week, maybe you get this summary. What did you use that time for? Maybe you used it to synthesize some customer research, or you found a market gap that competitors aren't addressing. So what's your assignment? I want you to go and try this. Next week, day 1 to 2, just track your interruptions. See truly how many times you get interrupted and estimate using 15 or 20 minutes each how much time is being wasted. On day 3, build your bot. Spend an hour, no more, and load in the project all the relevant documents. You've got a roadmap somewhere. You've got a strategy doc somewhere. You've got some customer information somewhere. You've got various different pieces of sort of important artifacts. Think, what would you give somebody when they started, if they started that day? Give that as context to AI. And then also provide instructions to the bot. And use, if you want, the instructions that I've linked down below. Tune them if you need. On day 4, deploy it. Put it in. And share with the team. If you have a question, I'd like you to ask the bot first. If it can't help, it'll escalate to me with context so I can get back to you later that day. Genuine emergencies can still reach you directly. So, hey, I'm still available if it's an emergency, but if it's not, just ask the bot first. And then at the end of the week, make the work that you did with the time the bot gave you back visible, because it's not going to be visible because there's probably not artifacts that come from it. So have a couple of bullet points of the things you did, the strategic, deep, thoughtful, cognitively heavy work that you accomplished in that time frame. You're not eliminating product management in this process. You're triaging interruptions so you can actually do product management. Those 50 interruptions a day, that's not product management work. That's just busy tactical work. Let AI handle that. You do the strategic work that a product manager needs to do. If you would like, please subscribe below to get notified when I put out these weekly demos. The complete setup guide and templates are all linked in the description below. My next cohort of my Maven course, Building an AI Confident Product Team, starts on December 2nd. There's a link below as well. As always, thanks for watching, and break a pencil.